This Al Capone biopic was made in 1959 and stars Rod Steiger as the infamous Chicago mobster. The most memorable thing about the film is Steiger himself. He really was a terrific Capone. When we think of Al Capone performances over the years, of which there aren't that many, names like Robert De Niro and Stephen Graham get mentioned, but I don't really hear people talk about Steiger's go at the character. It probably has more to do with the fact that not many people have seen the film. It just has over 1,000 votes on IMDb, which suggests this is probably the case. Steiger was so boisterous, so animated, but at the same time without coming off as overacting. He was unpredictable in his movements like starting to randomly pace during a tense conversation, or running his hands through his head, or picking up a prop and playing with it. Actors have done these kind of things throughout cinema to keep the attention on them. And it's one of the actor's traits in the film that causes him to be a magnet for all the characters in the movie. A magnet for our attention too, as Al Capone should be. Steiger also felt like he was giving a real performance, if that makes sense. Again, it's mainly through the tics and mannerisms, but his acting felt more fleshed out than those around him, on another level. Most other actors were doing flat line delivery, like Capone's girlfriend in the film, whose screeching performance I found really irritating. Aside from a lively Martin Balsam, everyone in the movie was kind of doing the hammy, ropey acting that you sometimes see in older films, whereas Steiger was far more dynamic, a 3D performance surrounded by 2D ones. He reminded me of Marlon Brando in Brando's earlier films, where his realistic style of acting often clashed with the theatre style of the cast around him. Speaking of Brando, there's a scene where Capone has been in a fight and later his jaw is busted up. When he speaks and the fact that his jaw is swelled up, he actually looked like he was doing a startlingly realistic impression of Brando's Don Corleone. I don't know why I mentioned that, I just thought it was interesting since it would be a role that Steiger would go on to reject. One of the things that's surprising about this film is that it's pretty accurate. Not completely, of course, but more than expected. Unlike, say, The Untouchables or the Capone film made in 1975, they pretty much stick to the facts in this film, for the most part. It's comprehensive too, covering Al's early days to his rise, the shooting of Johnny Torrio, his boss, Capone's rivalry with Bugs Moran, the St. Valentine's Day massacre, his incarceration after getting done on tax evasion, and his death. It's pretty cool, but in a way it's also the movie's downfall. With a runtime of 1 hour and 44 minutes, it does tend to breeze past on certain events, and in some cases takes to having a narrator explain to us things that are happening using fast-moving montages as visual keys. Maybe if the film was longer, or if it chose to focus on specific events, it might have been able to flex its muscles a little bit, but you kind of feel like there's a man just to the left of the screen out of shot tapping his wrist at the actors, hurry up, hurry up. I can see why then, in addition to the movie's dedication not to deviate from the facts too much, some might find the film quite pedestrian, maybe even boring. There's a lot more scenes of a cagey, frustrated Capone letting rip on everyone around him than there are of car chases and Tommy gun shootouts. I dug it though. I liked Steiger, and I liked the fact that it was closer to the truth than most Capone movies. I give it a 6.5 out of 10.